council meeting agenda for Thursday, March 23rd. We'll call to order. Roll call by Ms. Adams, invocation by Reverend Donna Smith. Do our pledge of allegiance by Councilman Johnson. And item 1, Ms. Landry will take that. And then we have presentations and awards by Chief Jones. Got those. Yes, sir. Fire Department Employees of the Year. Then we'll go to our city manager report, sir.
Yes, Mayor McCaw, members of the council, we'll have attended a CCOM JPA board meeting Thursday morning prior to your council meeting. There will be a number of items to discuss, including next year's CCOM budget. So I'll be able to update you in terms of what's going on there, and then my normal projects report. And that's
Sir.
all.
We'll move on to item number 2. And we'll discuss new business. Go to item number 3 and staff report, Ms. Wilson.
Mr. Mayor,
Sorry,
my
Ms. Yarborough.
apologies. I'm going to take this one from Ms. Wilson. She returned today from three weeks on vacation.
No excuse.
A little over 2.
We
So
give way too much vacation.
she'll
out
handle
around
it
here.
on Thursday night.
Yes,
but we're
ma'am.
going to give her a little bit of time to get up to speed.
Roger
So,
that.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, this item dates back to about 2019 when the city replaced all of its halogen sports field lights with updated LED equipment. At that time, the school district expressed some potential interest in requesting a donation of those items, depending on what they wanted to do in the future with their practice fields at their facilities. So the items have been wrapped up and set aside in the Pete Castro yard, waiting to see if they would like them. Recently, the school district did express interest in moving forward with this project and asked if council would consider a donation to them at this time. So we have 11 light bar assemblies, 78 light head fixtures with bulbs, 3 switch boxes, some loose bulbs, and 33 power boxes. Our Chief Procurement Officer, Kenny Downing, estimates this equipment would be worth approximately $62,500. Although the items in question have not been offered at an auction yet as surplus, staff really doesn't feel like there would be much interest, and it would greatly benefit our community partner, the school district. And so based on that long history of partnership and excellent relationship with the school district, we're recommending that you consider this donation to the school district at this time.
Thank you. Comments, concerns? Yes, sir.
A quick question. Do we have a running tally of goods and services donated? Whether it's a fiscal year, whether it's all together, and to anybody that makes sense?
Mayor McCaw and members of council, Councilmember Benning, we don't typically keep a running total, but we could get one. If the most recent ones that we've donated outright have been the dispatcher consoles that were donated to Cananea. Outright donations like this are usually, we don't do this a whole lot. As far as the value of goods and services exchanged, we do have a intergovernmental agreement with the school district to trade back and forth on things that would be of use to both of us, like fields, rooms, etc. I don't know that we track that specifically, but we could probably come up with something if council was interested.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Any more? Yes, sir.
I think it's I thought we had done this already. I thought the city had done this a long time ago. I
I thought
guess.
so too, but
So I was surprised when I saw this. That I thought it was already done. But I mean, it's good that they still want them. They obviously need them. I can't believe the school district hasn't done this by now. It's unfortunate, but good. Hopefully, they can have some like baseball fields with lights. Other than having restricted a daytime play, because I think it's important for the youth to have that opportunity. Because they're so limited right now, not having the lights out there. So if they want them, I'm glad they want to take them, and hopefully they'll use them quickly.
Yes, ma'am.
And then my question was just, we're not obligated to help them set them up or anything, that the school district's going to be able to do that all on their own?
Mayor McCaw, council members, and Councilmember Mesmer, no, we're just donating the equipment. They will handle the cost of the installation, all the maintenance and so on. We end with the the donation here. And one final thing I do want to mention is the lights that we installed in consideration of our dark skies ordinances and concerns. We will work with the school district to ask them to shield the lights so we don't have a lot of light pollution. Just wanted to mention that since I forgot before.
That's good, good.
Okay, thank you.
Now, also, I would add that if you ever been out there during practices, you know, in the wintertime, it gets dark early, and those lights are going to be very beneficial to the football team as well as the baseball, because right now they don't have lights on their field, so it's be very beneficial for those young athletes.
Good, good.
All right. Now we go to item number 4, Mr. Petrucci.
Thank you, Mayor McCaw, members of council. This item authorizes the city manager to enter into negotiations with the local Sierra Vista Firefighters Association to develop a memorandum of understanding, which then the council could approve, leading to meet and confer. After that process is completed, I foresee a number of ordinances that will either need to be altered or adopted, and then the council can take those up at that particular point in time, which will allow for some public input, which has not been afforded really on this topic to date. So with that, I also want to add that I do not recommend approval of this resolution.
Questions? Yes, sir.
You'd mentioned public comment on this, Chuck. Is this a public comment resolution potentially?
No, this is just a resolution authorizing me to negotiate a memorandum of understanding. So the actual concept of meet and confer would probably need to be in an ordinance form. We'll check that out with our attorneys, and we'll have an opportunity to discuss that, at which point generally ordinances then are opened up for public input.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
No, that was fine. I just wanted to make sure what we were voting on this week, what we're talking about, and it's just giving you authorization to discuss it with Chris from the Firefighters Association and to bring us something to further look at. So it gives us a little bit of time, and then we do get a public comment period, so.
So we're going to go to Ms. Messmer.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to, because it was brought up before about the employee council, and I was one of the members of the council to ask for that employee council to be brought back in, I guess, I don't know, to bring it back. And that was before I even knew what meet and confer was, so I just wanted everybody to know that. And I don't know what, that's it. Thank you.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it did come up. It was the timing, I know. And so the timing was right, it didn't look good, but that's true. That was something that we had wanted to see revitalized, and more effort put into. I had a question about the drafts that were given to us. Is that what we can expect if we allow you, if we direct you to enter these agreements? Is that something?
Mayor McCaw, Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey, the draft resolution and MOU was provided by the president of the association to us and distributed simply as an attachment. So if you chose to discuss that today or Thursday, you would be able to do so. I assume that's the starting point, which the association wishes to start from. So there are a number of issues with that conflict with your code of ordinances right now.
Right, okay.
Yes, sir.
I also, just some more clarification as well, because I was not tracking that we would need public comment timeline for this at all. How long is this gonna, we've kicked this can enough. I think it's time for us to talk about it and do what we're gonna do. Just from talking to people in the public, obviously, if you read this MOU, it pretty much covers a lot. that most people might have hesitations about or concerns about. Earlier today in a different meeting, somebody was unsure about what this means, and the key word here was that strikes, work stoppages, slowdowns, employee lockouts are strictly prohibited by this MOU. So I think that's one thing, if you have not read this, to make sure that you read this. It's available to the public. And it's very similar to other meet and confers, MOUs that are out there from other cities in Arizona. You can read those as well online. Very similar process. There's nothing tricky about it. It's pretty simple. It's all in there. And so if you haven't read it, I think a lot of it, it's a good, if anything, it's a good understanding of how city employees are city employees, but they're not, because you have 40-hour work weeks and then you have 56-hour work week employees. So they're definitely not the same. So this kind of just brings some light to some little bit differences there when it comes to our city employees, because we love all our city employees the same. I know I do. But there definitely is some differences when it comes to things that are mentioned here, such as leave, trading shifts, stuff like that. So if you have not read this, definitely important that you read it and be understanding of what this is all about. And again, it's nothing new at all in the state of Arizona. So you can definitely go online, and there's a list that was provided to us as well of all the cities and towns in Arizona that do meet and confer already. So that's available to the public as well. So I definitely recommend looking into that if you haven't yet.
Sir?
Thank you. Chuck or Victoria, is there a cost breakdown of if we implemented this, what would it cost the city?
Well, that's difficult to say right now, Councilmember Benning, and sorry, Mayor McCaw as well. If you go through the document that was provided, there's provisions for people to represent the union on a full-time basis at cost to the city. Of course, there would be positions that would need to be backfilled, when that occurs. That's a simple thing, but with regards to potential, mediation, dispute resolution, those types of things, it's hard to speculate, what that might be, at this point.
From my reading, there was no cost to the city.
That's not accurate based on the document we received.
It's under 5.3.
Well, the only thing, if I may, I had the same question looking at this. The payroll deduction part, that's just like taking the gym membership that we already do for our employees, that part. When it comes to, if you read through this and you get towards the only part that says like it would cost us money if it came down to something were to go to arbitration, right? Where we split the cost. Now, if you talked to anybody from other cities and towns, which I recommend you do, ask them how often they've actually had to do that. I don't see as long as we take care of our people, that's not going to be an issue. But so when it comes to money, I couldn't find anything in here that looked super expensive out of the ordinary. That was
So I had a meeting on that, because I thought the same thing. And I had a meeting, or I went in and I talked to Barbara from HR about some of the costs and some of the fees and some of the manpower, what it's going to take to implement something like this, maybe. And which I'd love if she could be here Thursday, if we can ask her questions.
Yeah. Well, I might be able to address,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
some of that. I think what that comes down to, Councilman Benning, is you're really generating a separate set of personnel rules and regulations, for an individual department, which could proliferate to other association recognition in the future. And then asking, our HR staff and us to administer those properly. Obviously, we would want to do that. So that could involve, more staff requirements, particularly in the HR area, in order to make sure that we're following the MOU properly.
But then if we go through with this, city council would have the last say.
Well, this is just so Chuck can talk with them.
Right.
Is my understanding. Right now, what we're voting on Thursday is just so Chuck can talk to them.
Roger that. All right.
That's correct.
Well, talk and draft an MOU.
That's correct.
Talking draft.
And I don't maybe it was Mark or someone else, I did have questions about all sorts of, I have a lot of questions. Are we allowed to?
Yes.
Because
Are
Mr.
are we,
Clausen's
are we
here.
allowed to address Mr. Clausen?
Can we ask him questions?
Ask some questions?
That's really up to the.
Or can I, okay, I did try emailing him, he hasn't gotten back to me on my questions, but, so I was hoping to have some of those answered,
Are they questions out of the items that are in the packet?
yeah.
Should be
But that's
fine.
all right, it's just because I do see costs involved, specifically with, in the draft MOU, the possibility of of the local chapter president, in this case, Mr. Clausen, and him being released from his duties as a instead of doing the fire department's activities, he'd be doing activities on behalf of his organization, but we would still be paying him full time. I'm trying to understand this.
If we can have Mr. Clausen. Mr. Clausen, are you available to? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Council, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Can you ask me the question again?
So yeah, you have in here that the local chapter president may be assigned solely to the employee organization and activities and released from his or her duties by the fire chief. And then there's an option for you to have someone else at your discretion with the fire chief's permission to also do those. So some of my questions, first, I noticed there is a way to assign, for Chief Jones to assign you to those duties. There's no mention of how to unassign you. So it sounds like it's indefinite. It doesn't say whether, like, how many hours, if it's capped on hours. It doesn't say who you report to, who your supervisor is, who you're accountable. Like, I don't understand how this works.
So the accountability part is actually through Chief Jones. If we have some discussion with the labor group and the fire admin or city admin, he's the one that ultimately says, yes, I can go to that meeting. When it's off duty, it's on my own time, on my own dime. That's how that works. So I will ultimately, if he needs me in a meeting, I'll be in a meeting. If it operationally it can't happen when I'm on duty, I won't be there.
I'm still confused. When you say you won't be there, where do you mean? What do you?
In that meeting or wherever off the fire truck, put it that way. If operationally it can't happen when I'm on duty, I won't be at that meeting, or if someone that can be that's off duty that I designate will be.
So this would just be for meetings.
That's all, yeah.
It doesn't specify that.
I think it says from,
It doesn't?
in 5.3 and 5.3.1, that's what you're talking about, right?
Let me grab my, are we at 5.3.1?
Yeah, just at the top.
No, 5.3.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. 5.3.
So this refers to being taken off the truck, off the fire engine, and in, I would say, an administrative role, which I wouldn't be, but as far as I am as a representative for professional firefighters of Sierra Vista, that secures my wages and benefits while I'm on duty to attend those meetings. That's all that does right there.
Okay, but it doesn't say just for meetings.
or whatever the need may become.
So what are some needs outside of meetings?
If I go to a training, whatever educational need I need, that is okay. That's okay from the fire chief to attend.
So meetings and training,
Mm-hmm.
no other.
I can't think of any right now.
Well, this is important because if this passes, then it's like, we don't have a say on how this language could pan out. This will
Okay.
be I'm assuming, between two, so.
Yeah, and,
We'll always have to say.
So
we're
we
the
always
last
have to
say.
say.
yeah, you always do.
Oh, yeah.
Mayor McCaw,
Sir.
Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey, clearly there's some language and that kind of thing that needs to be looked at with regards to an MOU. And that's why, this process is designed this way, so we could go in there. I also would expect that, based on what's in there, I would come back to you all, probably an executive session to get the parameters from the council on what you would like to see in an MOU or what you may not like to see in an MOU. And again, I don't want to brush this off lightly. There are major conflicts with the city code as it currently stands, and the MOU that was presented, draft MOU that was presented.
Sir.
All right, question for you while you're up here, if I can. So say now, right now, you guys have a meeting, or you guys have a guy on your crew that has to come to City Hall because he got something you got to look after. Do you not just pull up in the area now while you're on duty? If your call comes, you got to leave, right?
Right.
But is that okay for you guys to come talk to somebody in City Hall? Maybe get an issue fixed if you're in the area. If not, you do it when you're off duty. So is there any difference in what's written out in here?
Not that I could see. I mean, it's ultimately going to be up to Chief Jones if I'm working or whoever the designee may be
Right.
to attend that meeting. His operation is the utmost.
Okay, I mean, because this is all, from the way I read this, I read it a few times. The only time that would happen is if there's a meeting confer issue. If it's something that you need to talk about or an issue you want to discuss, other than, I don't know what else that would be, other than a meeting form. To me, I think that's whatever it is, education, I don't know what do you want to call it, but I have a little note here, work versus union time, like timeline, like what does that look like? What would that look like, I guess? So like, I think like Councilwoman Humphrey saying is, how long would that last? Like if you say, hey, we have a meeting confer issue, I'm out, I got to go handle this. Would it depend on the issue? Would it depend on, or if it's something that's, hey, I'm gonna go have this meeting real quick, come right back, just like anything else that pops up right now during the day. Somebody would jump in your spot, until you get back. How would that, in your mind, what would that look like?
That's the way I look at it. If it's operationally possible for me to leave, if not, we'd have to schedule another time, or I could find one of our elected officials that's on our meet and confer committee to stand in for me. That's
Okay.
on their off-duty time.
Right. I saw that it also says you have to give the city no less than 3 days notification anyway, or something like that. And again, a lot of the language I read in here is just, it seems like policies we should already be doing. Compensation, benefits, services, right?
Yes.
We do.
We do
Yeah,
do
Mayor
those.
McCaw, Councilman Rodriguez, those are already provided in your personnel rules and regs.
Yeah.
The city council already provides for all of that.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it wouldn't be that big of a change.
Oh, a huge one.
Nothing's created new.
A huge one.
If you look at our policies that we already have, that are somewhat there. I think.
Somewhat there, they are there.
With that being said, may I just ask, why do you feel you can't communicate and collaborate with the way things are now?
It's interesting you say communication.
It's the word you use.
Absolutely. Just like today, I would like to point out, I was never officially, or our group or organization, to be invited here to communicate today at this meeting. Never invited. We had word that maybe meet confer would be discussed. Probably pretty important for myself and some of my folks to show up to talk about it. But we were never invited by the city to be here for this part. I think would have been huge to get an actual invitation. Luckily, the mayor invited us. It wasn't from the city itself, so Paul, when we talk about communication, that's what meet confer is, communication. So I think there was a little stumble there today just to prove how important this is to communicate with all of you in drafting an MOU or whatever that may look like, so we could be a part of the discussion.
So, after we talked last time, I took your list that was provided of all the cities that do and or participate in meet and confer. And what I did was call all the cities that weren't on the list, because last I checked, when you give references, you want to talk to the non-references. And the reasons why they're not doing them. And I'm really, can go either way on this meet and confer, for and against. And like I sat down and told y'all, I'm for and against. I hate the union word. I'm from the East Coast. I see what it does to cities, what it does to companies and organizations. And we're in a right-to-work state, which technically doesn't recognize unions. So one, we need to stop using that union word, or it's a no across the board. But a lot of the things we come back with, or I'm getting, and from people on your list. Now, I called both, and even your gentleman, the chief that came here from Vail, one of the key takeaways I got from him was when he took over, there was a big disconnect. Then I called someone else, and that chief said, well, when I took over, him speaking personally, there was a big disconnect, meaning from the organization and the city. And this was a way to bring that disconnect back together. So I've been trying and trying to figure out where this big disconnect is. I don't see it. I'm not on the front lines working like y'all. I'm not riding in a truck. I'm not putting my life in danger like that. But from the top looking down, I see communication. I see a council that if y'all need something, we're going to get it for you. And someone brought it to my attention. I forgot who it was. Well, if the pro fire department, police department council leaves and we get non-pro fire departments, those can change. So I understand that aspect too. But I'm just trying to wrap my head, and I'm hoping someone can help me with what our disconnect is in the city of Sierra Vista, because I don't see one myself. And I'm trying. And I'm trying to understand why this is a push. And 4 years ago, like you know, Chris, I sat through the same thing. I didn't get to go to your executive session, but I sat through the open public, and it's been lingering the whole time. I guess my old saying, and kick the can or whatever. But if you got it good, you got it good. Why change something that's going good just for change? And I don't get that aspect. And that's just me. I'm 52 years old. I'm from a different era. I know validation and people having a voice is very important. But I don't think anyone in the city of Sierra Vista could say they can't talk to anyone up here one-on-one if they wanted to. And that includes staff. And that's what I'm asking for. If you feel different or someone wants to come up that feels different, gloves are off. Come out. Hey, this is why we want this. And help people that may not see, like myself, the need, or why are we doing this? Let us know, hey, we are dysfunctional, we don't have a say, and let us see what else we can do, but understand where y'all are coming from more, if that makes any sense to you. And people up here, that's my biggest thing, is trying to find that disconnect.
I don't think there has to be a disconnect to have this in place. I really, truly don't. I know I've asked for a couple things from former council members, and I've ran in via email to get some information, and I was stopped because they were apparently maybe dabbling in operational questions, and I was told I couldn't get that information to them, which to me was just couldn't believe it. Okay, and to have a singular place to be able to bring our ideas or whatever it may be to you all, I think is very strong. I'm not going to say there's a disconnect or there's some problems. We would just like to shore things up, I guess you could say,
Okay.
and have this in place. For when I'm gone, all of you are gone, city manager, fire chief, whoever it may be. Because I know things have been taken away and stuff we would like, but it's all about communication and conversation. That's as simple as it is. It isn't, there's a problem. We would just like to shore things up and have something in place for the future.
So let me ask you a question since we're conversing. If we started, and same line of what you just said, so if we pushed real hard as council and the mayor to make sure that the employee council was implemented, and the employee council, and I see your reaction, let me finish my question. The employee council was implemented, was used, met monthly with the representative by percentage of each department in the city. You don't think that could do the same thing?
No.
Why not?
Been there, done that. Watched it stumble on itself for years.
So I think we have a representative of their employee council, Mr. Brown. Would you like to address that?
That's my savior. He saved my life. So,
Mayor McCaw, council, city staff. As our employee rep now, I'm glad that the employee council is back. But the way I see the employee council is not to bog the employee council down with fire department related issues. We are a separate entity. As in council, I made it very clear to the employee council that we're not on there to bog it down with union issues or things that we have. It's to look at city issues department wide. And we discussed in our first meeting issues that were department wide, constant things that are seen between all departments. There were a few things that were department specific that we gave ideas for them to go back and maybe look at. But the council should be for things that we have to affect the entire 400 plus employees, not to bog them down with PD related issues, fire related issues, parks and rec related issues. If there's a major one that's not being pushed, absolutely the council can do that. But we kind of came to a consensus that we need to look broader than that. What Meet and Confer would do for us is it allows the fire guys to worry about fire issues. It also allows us to have a seat at the table. I came from an organization, and I'm with you. I was anti-Meet and Confer at my old organization when we first got it. Didn't understand it. Talked to all these guys in the valley who have it. You know, one of my best friends was Mesa's representative for 20 years. You know, didn't understand it because they're big time, right? What Meet and Confer showed me is that it made everybody have a buy-in piece. It's not one side being able to negotiate or dictate something. It allows us all to sit in there and have a conversation to figure out what is best for the fire department, what is best for the organization as a whole, which would be the city, what is best for all the employees as well. So all sides have to come to an agreement. There's not one side that can dictate it or run it, okay? And we had people who sat on promotionals, made sure there was fairness across the board there. We had people that were looking over budgets to make sure that all of our guys were staying on top of their budgets and staying within the budgetary means. We had a lot of things. Now, coming from a district, obviously, that's just fire related. We didn't have to deal with all the other departments and agencies as well. But Meet and Confer to me means everybody's gonna have a voice. And everybody in this room eventually is not gonna work for the city of Sierra Vista. And this will have long-lasting implications for the town, for the fire department, and for all of the members, that if something was to change and we do end up with anti-fire or anti-police or anti-whatever department, we now have a group that can come in and say, that's not okay. And I know we all believe that nothing changes. In my entire life, I've born and raised here my entire life, things have changed. We've watched good people be in power, we've watched bad people be in power, and we've all seen how that can be manipulated. There's no guarantees for tomorrow. What this does is it allows a piece that can't be necessarily taken away like that. Okay? So I'm fair to answer any other questions.
Yes, let me ask you another question real quick, because you came from a fire district or in a city that had a Meet and Confer already. So we sit down at the table, we establish this Meet and Confer. Y'all come and, hey, we want X, Y, and Z. We sit down, we even arbitrate, and the city says it ain't happening. But every time we sit down and every time we meet, the city says it ain't happening. What's different from what we have now to that?
There's a give and take. There's a give and take that we have to go back to the table and say, okay, and we'll use fire trucks as an example.
Okay.
We want 3 fire trucks this year. You guys come back to us and say, hey, we can give you 1. We have a choice at that point. We can either come back and say, let's look at the budget numbers. Okay, hey, we see we got $5 million here. How are you telling me we can't buy 3 fire trucks? You go, well, we have this, 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 and this. Okay, we go back to the table. Hey, we got enough money to get 1, guys. We need to table that and go on. Like, it's a choice that everybody makes, right? That we can either push and push and push, or look back and go, no, we've looked at the numbers too. They're right. They're 100% right. And it offers 100% transparency. It forces the lowest member to go and look. Fine, you want 20 sets of bunker gear? Here's the budget. Tell me where we can buy 20 sets of bunker gear. Help me figure out where we can buy 20 sets of bunker gear. Oh, sorry, we can't. There we go. We can buy 4.
Ma'am.
Why can't you do that now?
Because a lot of our stuff is managed by upper management, captains, battalion chiefs. We do have councils that work on them, and it's depending on which council you're on that dictates that. But there's a lot of moving pieces to a fire department. There's a lot of things, and to bog our chiefs and bog our officers down with even more duties to dictate all this, it's not fair to them. If you can have a labor group that comes in with a buy-in and say, hey, give us a chance to help work on this project. Give us a chance. I mean, Chief's been great. Chief Jones has offered us committees and stuff that they do help push through some things. But at the end of the day, everything still falls on all of our battalion chiefs, Chief Jones, Chief Deaver, and all of our officers' shoulders. What this does is it allows everybody to come in and kind of take some pieces of those away and start working on things and have a consensus between almost like a triangle of everybody working together.
Okay, but, pardon my ignorance, but I don't see, that's their job. He gets paid to do that.
It is his job, but also,
Go ahead.
As it is his job, it's also my job too to do what I can. But if I don't have the means to do all of that, it's kind of hard.
And I'm sorry, I still don't, and I'm with Pro Tem Humphrey, I don't understand why you cannot, that you cannot speak.
But so
freely.
we're blessed right now to have a fire chief that allows us to do that. There's nothing to say that tomorrow we get a fire chief that won't allow us to do that, that shuts the door on everybody. I've worked for fire chiefs like that. It's not a good thing. So it's, again, this is not saying that we have a problem within the fire department right now. I'll reiterate again. Our command staff does a wonderful job taking care of us. This is to help set up the future of the fire department and the city when, again, everybody in this room is long gone. And we could end up with a fire chief that, go ahead.
Yeah, and you know, hypothetically, he doesn't let you talk to him. You can come to anyone on this dais, or you go directly to Chuck or Victoria. You know you have that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no fear of closed-door policies at all. That has never been something I've been in the city for 3 years as a firefighter, off and on for 25 years as a volunteer, Parks and Rec, sports. I understand that. I've seen councils come and go, and I appreciate everything that everybody does in this room. This just, again, allows our labor group, which is different than most of the city employees, to just bring our concerns to you guys instead of bogging it down with a 40-hour employee who looks at us and goes, well, why do they get this amount of accrual? Well, why do they get this benefit? It's not fair to them to have to try and negotiate on our behalf because they don't understand a lot of what we do.
But that said, if this passes, you're gonna be right where you are right now.
And honestly, sir, I don't see that as a bad thing. I don't see that as a bad thing because that opens up the transparency for other guys. If the refuse workers want to start diving in to see what they can do, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to have employees engaged in the city. That gives everybody a buy-in and an understanding, which then when decisions are made, there's a lot of people that can sit at the kitchen table now and go, this is why that was done.
You brought up a good point. You said employees diving in. So who in this employee group, and Chris, you can come up too, who makes that ultimate final decision in the association? Do y'all vote on it? Is it ultimately someone weighed to someone else? Or is everyone an equal vote?
So we have a group, a committee, it's captains, engineers, firefighters. When we come together as a group, the whole membership, and they bring forward their ideas, topics, what they would like to see within this MOU. We evaluate them, what can be done, what can't be done, then we prioritize them, then we bring them back to the membership. Is this what we're ready to pursue this year or can't do or whatever? So it's throughout the whole group gets a say in it. And then once we're done with that, I meet with Chief Jones, city manager, and all of you, and this is our proposal.
And what happens if we all say no?
Didn't you say no?
What if we keep saying no?
You keep saying no, we'll keep trying.
Okay. And I'm asking hard questions. I'm asking crazy questions.
But
This is something. After Thursday's vote, if this comes back before us with the memorandum, and hey, this is a proposal, this is something huge we're going to vote on here for Sierra Vista. Maybe it's past due, maybe it's not. But I want to make sure we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. I want to make sure people in the city, because if it costs us $1 more, it's important for the city to understand what we're doing. And that's why I'm asking, and I think that's why everyone's asking, because been doing this a while, on the dais, a while off the dais, watching in and looking in. And I'll be honest, I've never seen the city manager not not approve or recommend something. So red flag for me. Why? Let me get to the bottom of it. And that's all we're trying to do. I don't think anyone in the fire department thinks we don't support y'all, so I ain't worried about that. It's just, let's find out what's going on.
So my question is, when was the last time you saw us come to you for something like this?
I agree. And I know the importance.
It was 2018. is the last
2018,
time.
yeah.
We never got to even a vote to that one.
That's right.
So this is a huge accomplishment for us to even have a vote possibly on Thursday. I've also got some, if you wouldn't mind, I've got a captain here.
I have some questions
Sure.
that I want you to answer.
I'm listening. I'm going to get some coffee.
Because I had emailed you, but I think you may have not gotten to them.
I haven't got all
Yeah,
the
okay.
information yet.
When you do have meet and confer, is there some kind of recording or minutes taken of what transpires?
Preferably, yes. Yeah,
And then they're made available to
absolutely.
the public? Like what's done? Minutes or
Made-
recording?
Meeting minutes, yeah.
Okay.
Subject to open meeting.
I've seen other cities, they do it on YouTube just like we do here. When they have meet and confer,
That's why
they,
it was.
they post it online, so everybody watches, so there's transparency there.
And then you said you have 48 members. How much do they have to pay for dues right now?
It's $25 a paycheck.
And what are the benefits as of right now with the way it stands? What are their benefits for that?
What the benefits are, one of the things that I'm proud of that I brought along was did an emergency fund committee. And so if any of our members or their family go to the hospital, whatever that may be, we help fund their stay in a hotel, feed them, whatever it is. We had a member that had a fire at his house, and we helped him get in a hotel and feed him. So some of the dues goes towards that. Representation, if you're in a situation at Human Resources, and a lot of our dues go to our state and national levels, which further on in the political arena at the state level, like our presumptive cancer, at the federal level are SAFER grants, AFG grants, and how we build our fire engines, what we'd like to see in them, our bunker gear. That's where some of our money goes for that. And then locally, we really try and keep it for a rainy day, and someone has a really bad day, and that's what our dues is going for.
Nothing else.
I don't have the list in front of me right now. I will email it to you though.
Thank you. Okay.
Is there any more questions? I've got a captain that's been with the department for a while. I'd like to say a few things if you don't mind.
Sure. I mean, I do. I have so many, but I do wonder because y'all keep mentioning how, and we do understand that fire is different than PD and different than HR, but your department operates because all these other departments are operating. Like, you all benefit from working with each other. No one's working in a silo in Sierra Vista. You all work together. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, we're hearing about community development block grant paying for hydrants, and Public Works will probably install those hydrants, and HR is the one, sending out. We got billing for your ambulance fees, and I mean, finance to pay for and procurement to get those fire trucks that you're talking about. Like, it seems to me, like it doesn't seem right to put just the fire department above, because it feels like, well, maybe not even above, because we have an employee structure, and we see it all over the building and in our strategic plan. You have your voters / taxpayers, and then you have your mayor and council, and then your Chuck, and then your department heads and your managers, and on the way down. And then this association seems to operate outside of all that, bypassing that whole structure. It doesn't, I'm trying to make sense of how that would seem fair to anyone, because to me it doesn't seem fair at all.
We're just trying to talk about our stuff in the fire department. I don't know about going around management or anything like that, because we're gonna operate with Chief Jones and within our fire admin.
Right, but the draft says to negotiate things like wages and hours and benefits, and there's a list of stuff here that, I mean, I know even on our strategic plan, we want to not just fully fund the department. We want to make sure that you're paid well, you know, and we just, even last time when we had an opportunity, it was presented to increase pay, and we said that's not enough, and we doubled it at that time. We all want to make sure that you're paid well, but to standards set by the market, not by a negotiation, if that makes sense. So these are all things that, and just nothing against Vail, nothing against you in particular, but I also have concerns with, you'll be initially the one in those negotiations, I'm assuming. You live in Pima County. You would be helping dictate policy and affecting our budget when you're not from Sierra Vista or elected representative of Sierra Vista, and it feels,
I don't understand
Messy
that at
there.
all since I work here.
but you're not. All right, that's fine. You don't have to understand it. I'm just making that statement.
But you don't play here, I think is what it means. And see, it's just hard. 22 years in the Army, the key word you learned was 3 bags full, moving on. Moving out. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. No, ma'am, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, no, sir. I had to switch it up. I didn't have a say in anything, so I get it. I know where y'all coming from. I know what y'all trying to do. It's a lot to wrap the mind around. I listened to Mayor Pro Tem Humphreys and what she just said too, and it's like I didn't even think of nothing like that. Not that part, but just in general, it's a lot. It's a big movement, big change.
Say Captain Montana.
If you could.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
Members of council, Mr. Mayor, city staff, thanks for having me. A couple things. I think just so you know, background on me, I've been with the department for 15 years, and I've made the rank of captain. I'm Chris's co-chair on the Meet and Confer Committee. So I'm fully invested into this process, and I've read up a lot on what it is and what it isn't. And I think at times we're overcomplicating this in these discussions. And I think if we go back to Mr. Jeffrey's presentation, he really simplified it. And the way the process is to answer your question, Councilman Messmer, is it is simply why do we need this, or where's the disconnect? Like Chris said, there is no disconnect with our chief. What this is just a proven better way of doing business that's been proven over the last 50 years in Arizona through dozens of jurisdictions, not just fire departments. And so the way this process would happen is we, the Meet and Confer Committee, would meet with our membership, discuss with them what are the big priorities, what are the big problems you all see riding on the fire truck every day. They would give us those ideas. We would go to our fire admin, our fire chiefs. We would say, this is what we identify as a challenge or a problem, something to really work on. Chief Jones and his admin would then say to us, well, we can't do this, we can accomplish this, we can't do that. We don't want that to be a priority next year, we want to wait a couple years. We would negotiate that just off the record And then we would present in these meet and confer meetings with you all a united plan on how to solve that problem. So, like what Mr. Jeffrey said, right now, per Arizona law, any firefighter, all the way down to a probationary firefighter, can come to council and suggest a proposal to you all. That's guaranteed by Arizona law. This is just a more coherent process for that to occur that's not as intimidating, that's more coherent, and that's also done in conjunction with our fire chief. So that when that plan comes forward, you all have subject matter experts from fire chief down to firefighter saying, this is a challenge we have, and this is how we think we should solve it. That's simply what this is. That's all that this is. If you all can't do it for whatever reason, because of revenue streams or tax base, whatever, the power still lies within you to say, we can't do that. But at least you've heard now from everybody in the organization that this is the problem and here's how we see we can fix it. And I don't know how, I don't understand some of the disagreement with doing that. Because again, this is not a new trail we're blazing. This has been done and is being done. I mean, it's done in our county, the city of Bisbee, the city of Douglas, Green Valley, Nogales, Tucson, Rincon, Northwest, Boulder Ranch, Peoria. I mean, this process, you talk to the fire chiefs in and around Phoenix, and they stand by this process. And you talk to some of the mayors in and around Phoenix, and they stand by this process, and the Valley has produced some of the best fire departments around the world because this isn't hard-lined East Coast style collective bargaining. It's in Arizona law that it can't become that.
But are you aware of what happens when there's such a disagreement? And this happened in Mesa, right? Are we all aware of what happened in Mesa? Okay.
It was a citywide issue that actually affected all the departments, as I understand it.
And the fire association paid for commercials and made videos, and it was a very us versus them mentality. And it seems very unhealthy and unproductive.
Does anybody know of another example of mediation?
Well,
across the state?
So we have a list with Chris's help and HR, or actually Rochelle, our admin, of the 23 cities. Out of the 91 cities and towns, there's currently 23 that allow meet and confer. And, well, there would have been 25, but there were issues in Gilbert and Marana, I think I don't remember, 2014 and 2011 or something like that. And you can look these articles up and see all the negativity and the arguments and the disagreements, and they end up removing the meet and confer. And so it is, I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
I agree.
And people do end up in court.
And to speak to that, no one's interested. For one, most cities and towns, and also not cities and towns, but jurisdictions, school districts, and most get it and don't get rid of it. But you're right, there are cases where they do. But also, Councilman Humphrey and members of the council, it's in no one's interest to have any situation where that arises, right? And the local certainly is not interested at all in any sort of thing like that. Chris touched on our finances. We don't have money to hire attorneys and do these,
No, but the larger organizations do. And I know that they'll help you out if you need it. But also you brought up the school districts and the fire districts. And I can almost see why those work better, like you said, because like independent fire districts, they don't have a Barbara Fleming to help them out, or wherever there she is. You're usually over there. School districts, you don't have like the English department against the science, like only they get to meet and confer, and then they meet and confer separately with the it's the paraprofessionals and the teachers. They're all in one
Yes, ma'am.
association.
And I think that gets back to like your concern about, would this put the fire department, the firefighters, above everybody else? And I would push back on that and say, no one's getting put above or prioritized over any other department. This is simply a better way of doing business that we can present a coherent, united plan to you all on how to administer the fire department. It's not prioritizing the firefighters in any way. It's just meeting with our chiefs as a formal process, not an open door policy, afternoon conversation, but a formal process. Here's the needs we identified. Hey, council, here's what we suggest as a department we think you should do.
What about when Chief Jones has his monthly all-hands meeting? Is that not an appropriate time to bring these up?
That is, but again, it gets back to, is the 1 or 2 year firefighter really going to speak his mind to the fire chief? And maybe some do, but maybe some don't. And that's what meet and confer gets to the business.
And I would hope his leadership would encourage that 1, 2 year firefighter to speak up and be heard or call on if he's been quiet for a couple months.
Absolutely. I would speak to his leadership, absolutely does, but he also can't control the probationary firefighter or anybody who's simply too timid or whatever the case, is worried about, whatever the individual's reasons are for not bringing it to a fire chief. This process just presents, again, a coherent plan with the fire admin to you all.
And you don't think they'll be too timid to bring it to a captain or a battalion chief?
I don't believe. Well, it would be at a union meeting. It would be at the association's meeting. So he'd be there with a number of other firefighters, and our chiefs are, I believe, non-voting members of the union. So there actually wouldn't be any chiefs at those meetings.
And then how many? I want to say the number. I had the number of members and the number of actual firemen and EMTs.
Fire personnel?
Fire personnel.
Oh, 49?
48 line personnel.
48.
Excuse me. Mayor McCall, Councilman Benning, we have 48 line personnel plus Brad Deaver, myself, and Don Foster, so 51.
And how many members?
48. Now, full disclosure, a few of those, 3 or so, are EMS employees.
Okay.
It's the vast majority.
The whole department, 86?
We have a little, Mayor McCall, Councilman Humphrey, Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey, excuse me. We have currently, we are allotted 75 spots, but Chuck has allowed us to overstaff our EMS personnel, so we're right around 80. We have 1 fire vacancy right now and 5 EMS vacancies, and we have people in the process right now from the EMS to be fulfilled. It's just a process to go through. So 51.
Oh, go ahead. No, you ain't said nothing all day. Go ahead. She been waiting.
Go ahead, Angel.
Okay. I feel like this is something that we could talk about all night long. It really is. And I know that it is an important moment because it hasn't came this far before and it's been brought up before in the past. I feel like right now, to me, it feels like things are being pushed really fast because we had that the presentation not long ago, and I just feel like it's being pushed really fast. A lot of people still have a lot of questions. There's still a lot of things that haven't been discussed. There's a lot of things that are clear to some people. There's things that are super clear and to other people there's not. I know that everybody comes at it with their own perspective, their own background, their own experience. So what may be clear to one person is not to the other, and vice versa. We have a lot of things that we have to talk about today. We've already been talking about it for an hour. I feel like it's being pushed very far, and I feel like there's still a lot of discussion that needs to happen. I have some things that are unclear to me. There's questions that I don't even know what to ask at this moment. So I just feel like it's being pushed really fast, and I feel like we need to just kind of put a break on it. That's how I feel right now. Just wanted to put that out there.
it's the firefighter organization or union, whatever you want to call it. That's all, you guys joined that voluntarily, right? Nobody's,
Yes, ma'am, and that's what right to work state means is it actually just means that workers aren't compulsed to join a union. That's all right to work means.
correct. Okay, and
So
then.
yes, our employees aren't. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Messmer. Yes, ma'am. That's what.
Okay, and then, as of right now, the city, the fire chief, Jones, he makes sure that the state, that we are following all state standards and, federal, state standards for the fire department, is that correct?
Councilwoman Messmer. Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay, so, and then, one of the questions that I had asked Chris, when we met once, what was one of the issues, and he had brought up about the, that you guys would, that it would be safer for men to be on a truck, or for persons, sorry, on a truck, rather than just the three that are the standard. And doing more research about that, that sounds really doable, like, one person, but that's not the whole thing. You would actually need a total of 9 for all the shifts to have the proper person, a proper amount of people on there, and that would be a total of $1 million a year, and that would be just for that person, not for his equipment and all the things. I mean, that's a huge amount, and I know that, this isn't supposed to be about money, but at the end of the day, to me, it's all about the money. It's, because when Chris has to leave his regular job and attend a meeting, it's a volunteer position, but yet the city's paying for him to go to that meeting. That's money. When you guys are asking HR to take your dues out of your pay, that's money. I don't get the city to take my historical dues out of my pay. It's all about the money into some aspect. I mean, that's what it comes down to, and I just need you to say that. I mean, it's not, in the end of the day, it might save somewhere, but when you are talking about all the different meetings and going to the chief and coming back to us, it's all money that the city either does or does not have. And I don't see why you can't just put a list down and say, this is what we want. Can you help us? Yeah. Why do we have to have this huge document to go through that? I don't understand that.
Councilwoman Messmer, members of the council.
Point of order.
Yes, go ahead.
We have less than a half hour to cover 4 more subjects that are on our agenda.
Okay.
I would like to cut off this debate, but, it's up to the council if we want to go past 90 minutes.
Is it up to the council? We have some more, and we can push some item D, item E, item F to another work session.
We're voting on Thursday. All this other stuff.
I'll say here, I kind of agree with Angelica, and I'll get to you for a minute. I think this is being fastball down the pipe.
Now, we're only voting on.
For them to meet
For
and sit
them to-
down
for
and
them to
come
meet
up with
and
a
sit down.
memorandum.
Right.
The problem is,
Vote no, there's nothing.
There's nothing.
The problem I have is, if we're not gonna approve, meet, and confer to begin with, why are we gonna spend the resources to have them do that? So why don't we hold this vote off, meet more, and put this on the agenda more, because evidently there's a lot of conversation.
I disagree.
You disagree there's a lot of conversation?
I disagree that we hold the vote off.
Well, you're the mayor, you put it on there. I'll tell you, if I had to vote on Thursday, I'm voting no. Because I don't have enough information, I don't have enough answers to sit up here and say, yes, I'm gonna go beyond my beliefs in organized unions and vote for meet and confer. I'd like these young men who I've listened to and give the utmost respect to show me why this is important. Because it ain't gonna end with the fire department.
True.
So we're gonna kick a can down the road, to use that term again, with each division in the city, which means we're gonna rewrite our ordinances, which means HR is gonna have to come back to us and tell us how many more FTEs they need to process and do all this. This isn't a simple, here's my memorandum of agreement, we're gonna run with this. This is let's change how we do business as a city, and that's what this is gonna do. So I would like more information, I like more time, and I don't wanna spend money, I mean, sitting down and coming up with an agreement, I'm no offense to you, Chuck, but Chuck is against this and Chris is for it. They're gonna be two bears in a room trying to come up with an agreement that works, when they don't even know if council's gonna vote for this. So, I mean, if what we're doing Thursday is so important, we could have done it the first of the year and just did it. Because that's what it seems like. I mean, we're in our 4th or 5th meeting of the year of a new council, new mayor, and we're pushing an agenda we don't have all the information on. In my opinion. And I'm just one person up here, one vote, but I want to go home and I want to look at a constituent and I want to look at myself and say, you know, Sean, Chris, I appreciate y'all. This is what I did for y'all and I agree with you. And until I can do that, I can't say yes because I don't know. I mean, I'll go back. Chickens in the backyard took 5 months. We want to change how we run our city in 2 meetings. My opinion. And I'll answer that. I appreciate y'all being here, by the way. I remember the tough questions for a reason. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
One last thing. Obviously, this is an important conversation, an important topic, or wouldn't be at this point still talking about it. If we go over 90 minutes, I don't care because it's important to us. It's important to our employees. We should hear it. I'm sorry that I'm glad you guys made it this far. Obviously, your presentation's good. Previous attempts, for whatever reason. So obviously, you provided some more information this time, and I think people do need more information. And I'm glad. I'm sure everybody's taking notes and figuring out, what to answer and stuff like that. I appreciate all the information. There's a lot of information in there. If you just read it, it tells you a lot of things. It's already explained in a lot of questions we have. I think the biggest key takeaway I'm getting is the voice is being heard from the lowest level, from that level to the captain, right? And we can tell you all day, why don't you have this? And don't you have this already? We don't know, man. I don't work there. I don't know what you guys do every day. So I'm not going to be the one to ever say, why don't you do it this way? Oh, you have this already. No, I don't know that, right? I can throw a spitball an idea out there, but things like that. And I've sat in plenty of the meetings there, and that's not how the all hands. It's not set up for that right now. It's just not. If you ever go to an all hands, that's kind of not where that. It's not the place for those issues. It's kind of not that meeting's all about. So that doesn't work for me. So yes, and definitely money's important. So when we start doing these memorandums, things like that, it's important to kind of write those monetary figures out, just so everybody knows what goes what costs what, or what doesn't cost what. Yes. I mean, we're going to spend money on expensive overpaid lawyers anyway. So we have the money for that. We can also hear your side and say, here's what will cost you for this or that. So I'd appreciate that too. And I don't care where you live. I don't. I really don't. As long as you put in your hours for work, just like our PD, they live out of town. They get take-home cars. We don't care where they live. So
That's right.
I'm glad you guys are doing what you do and providing service for our city. I appreciate you, and again, your representation that you brought. Thank you.
Yeah, I made that comment strictly based on the position he would have in negotiations that dictate our policy and our budget. That's it. It has nothing to do with him being an engineer at the fire department. Okay, just so we're clear.
Okay. So, how do we proceed? Do we wait for, do we continue conversation? Council?
It sounds like people need more time.
I gave my opinion.
I understand.
And I hope y'all know it's nothing against y'all. It's information gathering, and like I said, we're changing how we do business in the city. I don't feel comfortable doing that in a month.
I'm glad we had this discussion though, because, your feelings came out.
Well, no,
we have
think
to talk about it.
everyone's-
We have to talk about it.
It's a matter, and I said earlier, I'm on the fence.
I understand.
And I know people that aren't on the fence. I know people that are, and I don't know where some people stand. But 6-7 months ago, I told you I'd hear you out, and I'd let you present everything you want to present and bring me everything you want to bring me. And that's what I thought we were doing. But when it comes to, let's put a vote to the table, let's put a meeting together to where we can come up with a memorandum, I think we're putting a cart before the horse, Mr. Mayor, in my opinion. I think there's a lot to be hashed out. I'd like to get represented, and no offense to the other chief, and no offense to Public Works, and no offense to Parks and Rec, I'd actually like to get other people in the city in the room for a conversation to see if they're thinking the same thing. Because as soon as you drop a pebble, those ripples are going to affect everything we do in the city. And that's not something I take lightly and something I'm going to do overnight. In my opinion, I'm sorry.
Change is hard, man.
It is. But it depends on whose change you're doing and who needs to do the change. So I'd like to hear that out. And I don't know how everyone else feels. I kind of know where a couple people feel, but if me saying, hey, give me another month is wrong, I'll vote on Thursday. But I told you what my vote's going to be. And it's nothing against y'all. It's strictly by my bowling ball is going down to court and I got to make a decision. So I'd rather wait.
I do have one other concern to share, just because it was only, what year is it? It was only a couple years ago. I was sitting over there because it was during the pandemic and William was wherever he was and staff wasn't here. You were online. And it was in Minneapolis, there was this horrible thing that like most of the world watched where a man, George Floyd, was killed by an officer, and he was murdered. And that officer belonged to a very powerful union. I know that's a very different scale, but it did, when I was reading through the grievance process, even though we have a grievance process in our personal regs and regulations, there's an additional one in here for members. Well, actually, it'd be the whole department. And I'm concerned because that officer, I don't remember his name, he had 17 department complaints against him that they had tried. The union protected what we all see as a bad person now. And I know we don't see it often in Sierra Vista, but we're not immune. We've had people come through the city who had to be, who didn't fit because of serious reasons. And I'm concerned about a liability problem with also tying our, an MOU creating another layer of grievance process in addition to what we have. Is that how that would work? I don't know.
It says it in
Would
here,
it be
it's
on
a-
top of?
Suspension, discipline is
Yeah.
not part of it.
It says it.
We have that
No.
later on.
So, is that the resolution? That's
So,
the resolution. You're talking about the MOU. So, I think it would be in addition to.
I'd like to ask you a question real quick. Can I know how important this is for you? Because you waited since 2018. You waited, you kept pushing it. We're 2023. 5 months too much for y'all to wait?
5 months?
Yeah. I'm just throwing a number out there.
What do you mean by 5 months?
5 months from now. 5 months. I'm taking everything into account. We got to go to a public input period. We have to go to other periods. You waited since 2018. You brought this before. You brought it back up in 2023. Is waiting 4 to 5 months an issue?
I'd have to ask my members, to be honest with you.
Which I'm talking just personal. I don't care.
I've been doing this a long time.
I know you have. What's 4 months?
I can stand on my head for 4 months.
I can too.
But this is important to all our members, I can tell you that much.
And to us.
And you.
And to the city. I agree. My point being, since I've known you, you've been going at this since 2018. If we said today, hey, let's put this off and keep having conversations, is that going to break the bank for y'all? You know what I mean? Is that
I can't give you an honest answer on it.
For you.
I'm in it for the long haul.
All right, that's what I want to hear.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to retire from the city of Sierra Vista. So I'm not going anywhere.
Then I'll go back to I'd like to have some time, but if we got to vote, we got to vote. I'm either way. I can do it. Well, you ain't said nothing all night. Go ahead.
Sir, yes, sir.
No amount of further discussion is going to change my mind on my vote.
I understand.
I think I'm in agreement with the mayor. I would rather take the vote on Thursday.
But if you're gonna, if you would vote on Thursday, right now,
All Thursday does is let Chuck and Chris talk.
right,
I'm okay with that. I don't think they need my permission to do that. But if we had to vote on letting them talk, hey, negotiate all y'all want. But let them bears go in the room. So, but as far as meet and confer, I don't think that's not a this month vote, in my opinion.
and that's what Thursday is, just for them to talk.
That's exactly, Mayor and Council. I think we're getting the cart in front of the horse and talking about the MOU, because that could be scrapped, the one you have, be scrapped. But we could, if we can enter into a meet and confer resolution, that opens the door for that discussion to happen.
But if we don't vote on a meet and confer, there's no reason to write an MOU. You tracking?
Not necessarily.
Also, if I removed all the parts of the MOU that I didn't agree with, it wouldn't be much. You guys wouldn't want it, I don't think. You know, so I don't see the purpose of even entering into negotiations for one, if everything that comes back is going to be something we don't want.
We just want to be able to talk with you all about it.
All right, that's what we're doing.
All right.
We want that
So
to.
let me ask you this, so should I come back to every work session then?
You're free to.
I'm just trying to think of moving forward. If I can get a list of questions that everybody wants answered, just to help this process along, I'll try my best to fill them.
So vote on Thursday.
Well-
Just for him and Chuck to talk.
That was my question when I had the beginning, was what is the process that we're in? Because Chuck said we're going to a comment section after that, so what is the actual process? I think there's some confusion here on what these next steps are, and what this actual vote on Thursday means and what it doesn't mean. So I think we need to be clear on that first.
The vote Thursday directs the city manager, in this case me, to negotiate with the Sierra Vista Firefighters Association an MOU for your consideration that gets to meet and confer at some point in the future. So I don't know how long that takes, or whether legal representation will be needed, or anything like that yet to do that. But certainly the council will be involved in that process.
Yes, it does.
So, from my understanding, and again, what's coming out, my understanding, we're gonna have a pseudo meet and confer session.
Sir,
Can I try and clarify how the process works? First, you enter into a meet and confer resolution saying the firefighters, labor group can meet with the chief on a monthly meeting, right? Meeting and conferencing, that's what that is. They go through their conferencing and meeting, whatever it is, they develop an MOU, memorandum of understanding. They move forward with that to all of you or the city manager, and then you got all of you, yes or no to the memorandum of understanding, or changes that need to be made that you see fit. That's the process, is meeting, allowing the meeting and conferring process to happen, and then moving into an MOU that everybody's in agreement with. That's the process.
So then I go back to what I just said. Step one is saying we can have a meet and confer, so they can meet and confer. So when we say yes on Thursday, we're saying yes to them having a meet and confer.
That is a legal term, Mr. Benning, and I would be very cautious about using that.
Which one?
so can we change the language?
The language in this resolution does not get to that point.
I think that's what he's saying, is that's not, so that, if we vote Thursday, that's not saying, yes, there's meeting confer now, it's saying, yay, no.
It's not
it's
meet and confer.
That's not the process. What he's saying is,
For
the
them
vote
to-
on Thursday is just to say, okay, now, this MOU is an example, for instance. It's not the MOU that you're voted on Thursday, that's not, I think there's some confusion there. The MOU is not what's being voted on Thursday, it's just what one would look like, and that's the time that you have to look at it and say, yep, that's not gonna work, or let's change this, or let's add this to your MOU.
I understand what the resolution is for.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is I'm highlighting expectations of people. When someone says the first step in this process is approve a meet and confer, and then sit down and come up with an MOU, well, we're giving them permission to come up with an MOU on Thursday. And I understand where you're coming from, Chuck. So I want to set expectations so everyone knows when we vote on Thursday, it's so they can negotiate.
Just so they
back
can
and
draft an
forth.
MOU, that's it.
Drafted.
Without, no meet and confer is approved, nothing to do with meet and confer.
Not in there.
Yes.
That's what I want to set expectations, and I'm good.
Go ahead, sir.
Now
Now you're confused, now you're not.
Oh, I'm confused because
Yep.
the process that I know of is the meet confer resolution followed by whenever the MOU is drafted between all the parties.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think if we approve this resolution on Thursday that y'all have meet and confer now?
That's what the resolution is.
That's why I wanted to set expectations.
Oh, okay.
Unless I'm misunderstood somewhere.
That's not what it does. That is not what it does.
I understand.
And you drive the process.
That's the only reason I did it.
Okay.
I don't care if they can talk all day long, I
It's
don't care,
okay.
but I want to make sure everyone is thinking the same.
If I can ask one more.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
With the resolution the way it is, Chuck, could you explain, because this is the first time you put does not recommend, could you explain your opinion behind it?
He's like, thank you.
I'm sorry, it would
Well,
help.
I don't know how much time
Oh.
the council wants to spend here doing that, and, I'm happy to do that, but, it's, it's up to you in the interest of time. A lot of my concerns were brought up here today, but
all right.
I can articulate them.
Okay.
You want me to do that? Carolyn, do you want me to do that?
No, if you would just be repeating most of what was said.
Oh, well, there are some other things that I could definitely say, but
Yes, I would.
Then yeah,
I'd
I
like you
do.
to,
I
yes.
am curious.
okay, well, first part of what I was planning to say is, and I come from a union background, so I'm the son of a union carpenter, my father wouldn't have had guaranteed wages. He wouldn't have had health benefits. He would not have had a pension if it wasn't for the union. Our family greatly benefited from that. Typically, the reasons to have unions or union representation are for wages, obviously, benefits, health, and pension. You want a certain amount of job security, obviously, from that. You want working conditions improved. So there are a number of reasons to do that. I believe the city council already provides all those things to all employees, not just the fire department. These people have not come to me, and if you'll notice in the discussion, the city manager was left conspicuously out of the discussion. By ordinance, the council has the city manager, who won't be me forever, obviously, because I'm old now, but in charge of all matters relating to personnel, budget, et cetera. This MOU, the way it was presented, takes the city management out of that particular loop and bypasses it to so the other departments are then not represented at the table when it comes to resource allocation, budget, the application of the personnel rules and regulations, which drive things like grievance processes, things like disciplinary processes, which are very stringent in the personnel rules and regulations, as they should be. I believe the employees should have that, and certainly we don't have a lot of issues right now with a lot of these things. Anybody can come and talk to the chief. Certainly, anybody can talk to me. Anybody that works in the fire department knows I go down there virtually every Saturday, open myself up to any discussion or questions that anybody cares to have. The chief is not afraid to bring the concerns of the department to Victoria and I for discussion. And if we see something is wrong, we endeavor to fix it. If something needs to be changed, we endeavor to bring those changes to you. My other concerns regard the potential for division in the organization, starting Saturday night with the city council. We can already see that by this discussion. Potentially division and distrust between management and the department, and also division amongst all the employees in the city in the different departments, setting different standards for personnel actions and that kind of thing, which could result obviously in more meet and confer discussions that the council will have going forward. And again, a number of my other concerns involve the MOU as it was presented, the conflicts with that and the city code that's currently under operation of the city. It is a huge change in how we do business. In the 27 years that I've been here, probably the most profound change that has ever been made for the organization. So I don't believe it is one to take lightly. Again, if council approves this as a professional, it's my job to negotiate, an MOU leading to meet and confer. That is what I will do. So with that, that kind of gives you a summary of some of my concerns. But there are serious legal and organizational issues here that warrant the discussion that you had tonight, and probably more discussion going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one more thing,
Yes, ma'am.
if there's no, on March 7th, when you came and presented with Mr. Jeffries, at the end, you said, and I really believed when you said this, that you could continue to work hard and just like you always do, regardless of the outcome. And I wanted to say that I believe you, and I know this body will continue to do everything we can to provide for your department, regardless of the outcome, and do everything we can to make sure fully funded and well paid, and everything we can to make your jobs better and easier, and make sure that you're heard. I know that came up during strategic planning, communications, and working on that. So thank you for your time.
No, thank you, and like I said, it's not gonna change how we operate at the fire department. Exceptional service is what we do. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I agree with Carolyn, and we got to ask the hard questions. I'll go back to the chickens. It's not as easy as saying we're going to put some chickens in some yards. It's just changing how we do business. So I'd at least like to take a little bit more time than doing chickens. But if we don't have to, we don't have to. I'd like to get each person up here's question answers, and y'all questions for us answered, and staff and whoever it may be. Because like I said, it will go other places. So getting everyone up here prepared, what road we're going down and what we're doing. So it's nothing against y'all, it's nothing against anybody. It's just making sure we put our due diligence into what we're doing and what we're raising our hand for or against. And I agree with Carolyn. Y'all are one of the best fire EMS departments I've ever been with. I love ringing the bell with y'all. I like going to all your events. Y'all saved my life, Mr. Brown. And it has nothing to do with y'all individually. It's just how we do business as a city and what we'd have to do going forward if a yes vote or a no vote, et cetera. So I appreciate y'all being here. And if you want to come to every work session, I'll talk to you just like I talk to you every day, because I have the utmost respect for you. So thank you, Chris, and that's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. So, point notice 4:30, 16:30. We have Bravo Charlie, well, item B, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
BC. Would it be possible to push Delta and Echo to another work session, D and E?
We can actually do C, D, and E. If y'all didn't hear me whispering and talking to Miss Victoria, she said we can arrange to do C at another occasion also.
Okay.
Where we maybe a quick 30 minutes here, throw a meeting together, or even tomorrow when we have our meeting tomorrow. That way we don't take away
We don't take
from
away
the
sister
sister cities and what they want to present, but saves time too, Mr. Mayor. And I don't think anyone knew we were gonna have that long of a discussion on item A, but
So, Mr. Tuchek, possible Charlie Delta Echo push to another work session?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Remember that you'll be out of town for the next work session, so it would be put off for the second meeting in April, probably.
God, you gotta leave us, no playing.
Yeah, my son's graduating from something. Yeah. All right. Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, so, again, great discussion. That's what we needed. Let's go forward. Bravo. Presentation, I'm back to where this military man. Presentation by Sister Cities Association. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
speaking to this, or?
Yes, sir, please.
Mr. Mayor, council members, managers, directors, chiefs, new grandmas. Thank you for this opportunity to come and.
He said new grandmas.
So.
Now it's on.
That works. All right. Thank you for this opportunity to come in and say hello to a new group of individuals that have been working this. We've been working this for a while. My name is Randy Burrows. I'm here with one of our co-chairs, Heike Robbins, and another fellow member, as well as high school liaison and child wrangler, Rachel Henry. I've known her for years. Can you tell? First of all, I sent in a list of handouts. Did you guys get those? Whatever.
Yes, we did.
Thank you. All right. That's just background information, and I don't want to go over that again. I just want to spend a couple of minutes and talk about some quick kind of the overview history of what the city has done with this, and then a little bit of value added for what you're getting for your support. About 35 years ago, Sierra Vista set up sister cities with Cananea, and a few years later they joined up with Radebeul. It's a city suburb of Dresden in Germany. And I don't know where along the line they set up a city commission, and then it was manned by the city, but then volunteers were brought in, and I joined in 2014. And that was sort of kind of a change, beginning of a changeover year. We had awesome support, by the way, at that time, just like we do now with Miss Wilson. It was a smaller organization with kind of a smaller mandate at that time. Our only fundraising event was the annual Oktoberfest, and the city provided seed money for that so that we could buy the materials to sell brats and stuff. And then we made about $4,000, paid back the city, and then we had about $2,000 for an exchange when the Germans came. Each year we get about 16 Germans. They spend a week here, and then they spend a week in Mexico, come back for some final things. We were running into some problems because, two problems at that time. One, the monies that were being held for us by the city had to be used by the end of the year. And if we didn't use them, then they got reallocated, and we lost those. Also, due to the size of it and the stuff we were doing, just primarily local stuff at the time, the German high school students started to lose interest and were pulling out. And so we had a chair at the time. Her name was Susanna Himstedt Gilbert, and she increased the size of the program. We added a trip to Phoenix and to the Grand Canyon, and that was something that got the Germans reinvigorated and invested in the program. By doing so, that of course increased the cost. Now, based on the city decided to make their change during Oktoberfest, you used to have the Knights of Columbus do the beer, what's the word, concession. You guys have taken that back over and invited us to sell alongside you in the beer tent. That has increased our annual income to about $16,000 a year now. Now, what do we do with that? We work with several organizations in the high school, at Buena High School. For instance, we've got the marketing kids, the DECA kids. They help us out. We get about 50 of them that come and help us out throughout the year. And we were able to give them a donation of $5,000. The culinary club at Buena also helped us up with food prep and stuff, and we gave them about $2,500. And also originally, it used to be kind of a rich kids game, because in order to go, their parents would have to give us a check for $1,000 so we could make all the travel arrangements, and then whatever's left, we would return to them. This year, we covered all the costs except for $342 for the 4 kids who went. And that's a pretty good deal for, two weeks, in Germany with travel and everything. Also, we have now recently partnered with Cochise College. We've got a Spanish professor there, and we're trying to invigorate our work with Cananea and our outreach to Cananea. A couple months ago, we did a kind of a test bed trip, which Parks and Rec lent us a 15-passenger van and paid for the gas and everything. And we got Buena High School kids, we got Cochise College kids, and we got adults from Sierra Vista, even to the point where a couple of them drove their personal vehicles in sort of a caravan to Cananea for the day, where they visited the mine, the museum that's there, City Hall, some restaurant, I forget the name of it, and then did some shopping and then came back at the end of the day. It was a big success, and it looks like we'd be able to actually turn that into something that would not only cover all of your costs, but also make a small profit as well. Those are the sort of things that we're doing. That's sort of the value added. I think this year we made about $16,000 at Oktoberfest, and we donated all of that to youth within the community here. There's also some other smaller things and stuff that we donate to. And that's what makes all of this possible. Between the thousands of hours that we've put in since I've joined this organization, we have, also our co-chair is also a chef. Between that, okay, and the logistical support that you guys provide us. We've got the kids coming on April 6th, 16 German kids and a couple of teachers as chaperones. We can volunteer, but we're also all employed. And so it's hard to get us out to be able to do all the driving that's necessary. And Laura has jumped through hoops to make that happen for us again this year, even though we've gotten a little bit rusty because COVID shut down the exchange for a couple of years, right? And so anyway, I want to thank you for everything that you do for this that makes this possible, and that I hope you can see that there's value added. I think I don't know what it costs to provide these transportations, all right, but hopefully you're getting something out of that. I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Henry at this point so that she could talk to you a little bit about her work with the students.
Hello, Mayor and City Council members. I wear many hats. Right now, I can project. No worries. I don't feel that there's much to add to what Mr. Burrows said. I will focus on one of the big things that has occurred for many years is the student exchange. I took students in October of 2022. And as he mentioned, those students are now going to visit here. When we go to Germany, there are students from Cananea and Sierra Vista, and we go and stay in homes with families in Red Bull and the area. There's 3 schools in that city that are participating in the program at this time. Then all of those students that hosted students from Sierra Vista and Cananea come here, and they spend time in Sierra Vista, and they spend time in Cananea. And as he mentioned, they all say, we want to go to the Grand Canyon because it's Arizona, and that's what they associate with it. That's where they want to go. So we tried our best to be able to take them to the Grand Canyon, which this year we are being able to do in conjunction with the high school. So as Randy mentioned, we have many partnerships. For reference, I believe the student exchange portion of this started in 1998. As Randy mentioned, we had to shut down for the years of COVID, but it's been a very successful program. It's not taking 200 kids, but again, it's about students going and having that experience of going to a school in another country, staying in the home of another country. We don't necessarily do the same thing every time, but we visit local sites. They will do the same when we're here. I met with their mayor, and our students will be meeting with Mayor McCall when they are here. So it's very much, I think, teaching them life skills, communication skills, and they're ambassadors. We really try our absolute best. I liken dealing with groups of teenagers as herding cats, and I've done it for 23 years. I love what I do, but I think that they get a lot out of it, and so do the families. The parents there, when we had our farewell party, they talked to me about how much they enjoyed having a student in their home. And the same has happened in years past when the students visit here. So it is not a huge number of kids, but it is definitely impactful. And many people who don't necessarily participate directly in the exchange know of this program. And so I think as we increase our partnerships, we really are benefiting our community in trying to establish understanding of other parts of the world. And then I will point out, Ms. Hopp, when you go, just for point of reference, when you go and you have that delicious brat and potato salad and or sauerkraut or brötchen, whatever, however you get it, or the schnitzel stick, one of our main people who is running that now is Ms. Heike Robbins. And we also do schnitzel dinners at the VFW. I think you forgot to do that. And we sold soup and brats at the Christmas market. So we are definitely doing these partnerships with multiple organizations, and I point that as a success of what the city is doing and we are doing and those other organizations that we work with are doing. And then we wanted, I know we're way over time, or you guys are all over your time limit, but we are happy to answer any questions that you might have about Sister Cities, the program.
No questions, just some comments. Good to see you guys again. Thank you for being here. Sorry for the delay, for being patient, first of all. I hope you guys got some coffee back there or something like that. In the meantime, thank you for everything you do for our city. As you represent, your organization helps us put Sierra Vista's face in other countries, which you're the only ones that are doing that for us. So I really, really appreciate that. That's huge for us to do that. And you guys do it with a small group. I like the history of how you started off being more city funded, and then now you're kind of doing your own for certain reasons, like most nonprofits do. So I'm glad it's working out for you. And I just want to make sure that we understand that whatever you guys need, we want to make sure we know what you want us to provide or what's missing. What's fallen off since COVID? A lot of things have fallen off since COVID, right? So we're trying to plug those things back in for a lot of things, and this is just one of them. But I assume the same thing is probably happening, or has happened. You guys have been keeping together on your own. I like the list you guys put here on the back with the activities and the days. I know we're planning to meet you guys at the museum on the 10th, I believe, is the day. But there's other dates here. Would you like council to be there for those other events? Do you require presence, or you send an invitation out if you want us to be there or not?
Well,
the going away
speak
party
for everyone. No,
yes.
let me
What do you need from us that we're not doing?
Are we supposed to have these slides that he's referencing? Are they supposed to be, because we have pictures and that chart, are they supposed to be on the screen for you?
No, I think we just provided that. As Councilmember Rodriguez pointed out, I do think that there was sort of a pause. There's new employees. Many of you, I'm a social studies teacher, many of you are new to your offices. And so I think some of the roadblocks that we have had is just getting stuff reestablished and having to change how we do things. Randy did mention that we work with the lovely Laura Wilson over there, and the figuring out the transportation. As he mentioned, we're all working full-time and only have so much leave, pretty much everyone who's in the association. And therefore, figuring out the transportation, like she's going to find out if we can, city employees, part-time city employees can do some of the driving for us, because you no longer have a driver for the bus with the CDL. And in the past, that's how we did most of the transportation of the students, but things have changed. And as I work for a school district, I know about CDLs and bus drivers and how difficult that can be. Well, yeah, so we can definitely send a more formal invitation to anybody who wants to come to the farewell party. Is there any activity that you were thinking of specifically? But yeah, we can invite all of you to the farewell party. Remind me, 26th?
26th.
It's the 26th of April. It's 2 to 5 p.m. And I don't remember the number. Mr. Downey's house, if you know him.
Okay. Yes. Great. Good. Yeah, I mean, our staff is also, thank you, Laura. I know Laura's, like you said, she jumps through hoops for a lot of people.
Yeah, and we might just send it to
Yeah.
Laura, but yeah. You know what I mean? But we can definitely send a more formal email inviting all of you
Yes.
to the farewell party if you wish.
I know the staff's working on, like, in the past, you guys have gotten, from what I understand, it's like a goodie bag we give the kids when they show up or something like that. I know it's probably not spectacular. It's not something that they travel all the way from Germany to get, but the Grand Canyon is kind of the thing here. And I'm glad you guys were able to do that again, because I wouldn't want to come from Germany just to see Buena High School. Like, I would probably wouldn't.
All them graduates from there might disagree with you.
I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to be a little bit more in it for me. But I do like that they do that. It's good that they see American culture. I do love that. I'm just joking about Buena High School, but
No, it's fine. We try to do things on the schedule that we think will interest the students and adults. Having just gone in Germany, I will say for me personally, I've gone 5 times. And it might sound like, oh, and true story, same Bürgermeister, same mayor every time I have gone in Radboil. Right, not Cananea. No, they changed pretty quickly down there. But in Germany, right, it's been the same mayor every time I've been. But every time I go, I'm walking into that city hall and what's the word for it? Yeah, that. Every time I go there, I'm walking in and I'm because I've been there before. I'm telling my students as we walk up the stairs, besides catching my breath, I go, stop and look at this stained glass. Look at how amazing this architecture is. And then we're also meeting with them, and I get to see what they see. And when we're done, the students tell me what they're thinking. And then when we add in the students from Mexico, it's just this whole other perspective. And that's why I said I think it's one of the great things that our city and what these other groups have been able to produce for students here in Sierra Vista.
thanks for keeping it alive.
But they would come to see our new turf field.
Yes.
Or a council meeting.
Yeah.
Thousands of people watch them online, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming.
But yeah. And I think somebody mentioned the slide presentation. Was that with like pictures of kids? And
Yes.
Yes.
So that is just because in the past, it's one of those, if you want us to do it in the future, it's also been suggested, we were chatting today, that maybe after the students are here, because we could add some more slides about what we did with the students while they were here. We, in the past, the students, not me, I will speak for 90 seconds, and then I let my students tell you what they got out of the program.
Go ahead, sir.
So we've done that in the past.
Which is
That's
nice.
why we had made a slide presentation, and before they went, when they applied, I told them, this is your homework, you're doing this.
Okay.
So,
So it's a
I still
project.
made them do it whether or not anyone else ever sees it or not.
Good.
It's done.
Which is nice. So I don't know if everyone on the dais understand or knows, and it's kind of unique that we're going to talk about, or we're going to talk about Board and Commission Handbook today, and we're going to talk about it soon. The sister cities used to be a commission. They felt they could do more work on their own and became a nonprofit and started working together with the city more because they were a commission. So then that's why, and we would do things like the vans and support them any way we could as a city. But they would come back with the students, and the students would explain what it meant to them, how they explored it, how they enjoyed it. So I'd love to see that again too, but
Oh, and the Herald did a really nice article on us too.
but I just wanted to say how important our commissions are, and I'm glad we're taking them back under the wing of the council, because that's a true story of here was a need, and the citizens said, we're over you. We can do more on our own. Let's become a nonprofit.
We were actually kind of pushed.
Pushed.
I wouldn't
That's 'cause-
characterize
The
it that
details
way.
don't matter.
Details. But no, it's a great organization. As 100% German, you can take me to, if you need a chaperone, take me anytime y'all want. I'll go over there and chaperone some kids. But that's all I got. I appreciate y'all.
We have done, I don't know what the possibility is in the future. There has been exchanges a longer time ago, but we had volunteer firemen from Cananea were trained in certain things by our volunteer, or by their volunteers from Cananea, and they came and were trained. And you were there for that, Mr. Jones? You probably know more than I did. Well, no, and the
Germany, not Cananea.
No. Cananea brought volunteer firefighters that came here and were trained by our fire department. And then also firefighters from
You went to
Germany came here. Did you guys go to Germany? No.
One of our members went to Germany.
Yeah.
We should do that council member and whatever they're called in Germany.
We have done that in the past.
Work on it. I'll be in touch.
Yeah, Mr. Burris and Mrs. Robbins can set that up. I'm just responsible for the teenagers right now.
Depends on who you ask.
Come back with some stained glass for our front entrance.
Yes, if you have the opportunity to go to either city, I know there's mixed feelings, especially with where our one sister city is located, but I've had amazing experiences every time I've participated. One of the funnest times I've had as part of Sister Cities is many years ago, we went for the Independence Day celebration, which is not Cinco de Mayo, it's September 16th.
Right.
And so we went down there as sort of official, that was when it was still a commission. So our mayor and his wife, and I think two council members went by themselves, and then me and the lady who was in charge of the commission at that point in time, Barbara Hayes, we all went down there, and it was, again, wonderful experience, wonderful people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know their mayor's coming here eventually. I think he had
Really
canceled his
soon.
trip.
Yeah.
Lord Mayor.
Lord Mayor.
So, yeah, the mayor may like that title.
Lord Mayor.
Oh, that's his title?
Lord Mayor.
Make your little thing longer, your plaque longer. Lord Mayor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's about my stuff.
Not to be confused with former Mayor Lord.
There you go.
Okay, so do you have any other questions or comments?
No other questions, comments?
For us, respect your time.
Keep sending all your stuff to us. Let us know what you need. Let Laura know. She'll let us know how it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep making those brats.
Thank you.
So, Victoria, recent trips, meetings, future meetings?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So of course, we will reschedule everything that was on the agenda for today. You know, since you won't be present at the next meeting, Mr. Mayor, we may look at adding a special date, possibly.
Maybe next week, probably.
Well, myself and Karen won't be here next week.
Oh,
So
that's true. They're going
possibly
to
the first week of
Blossoms.
April, so just to give you a
We'll
heads
figure
up.
it out.
Yeah,
I didn't say nothing.
just to give you a heads up, we're going to take a look at that. The other thing I had on my list for presentations was Dr. Landry requested a presentation on the Schneider Electric project, so we're scheduling that as well.
Excellent.
And she touched on, oh wait, are we on, wait, I might be jumping ahead.
So we're on recent trips meeting.
Oh, yeah, we are, okay. Our, Mark and I will also be with Victoria
DC.
for the DC trip.
Yes. Any other more recent trips, meetings coming up? Future meetings? Future discussion items? Yes, sir.
I just have a question with this discussion we had tonight. I know we have an executive session planned for tomorrow. Do we still need it, or you want to push that back?
We didn't really have clarification from you, at least in my thick skull, as to what you wanted to do, because procedurally, you have three ways to proceed. One is to proceed with a vote, and obviously, the session tomorrow would continue. You could pull the item from the agenda and have it on future work session schedules for discussion, or you could table the item, at the meeting. So those are the three options that you have. The only way we wouldn't have the meeting tomorrow is if you pull the item from the agenda.
All right. Future items, council requests?
When we do go over this projection next time,
Yes, sir.
right, can we do, where it says airport revenues, can we have a little separate thing for what that means, fuel, stuff like that, broken down, or explain to us or talk to us at that session?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Rodriguez, I always go over that in the presentation.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yes, I
Right
will
on.
include that in my comments.
Thank you.
All right, with that.
I have
Yes,
a comment
ma'am.
really quick. Thanks to everybody for being here and sitting tight with us, with all the staff and all the people that are here. Most of you probably had to be here, so you didn't really have a choice, but I do appreciate you sitting tight with us. I imagine that we're all probably at cognitive overload, but I appreciate you all. Thank you.
And we are replacing those seats. I know they're bad. So
That's for the hundreds that are in attendance.
With that, we are adjourned.